Hi, I'm Bet from Bet's Makes, and today we're going to make a garden toolbox. And this is what we're going to make. It has a couple of little flaps at the top, and then of course it has the little handles that pull up and out. You can actually bend this across, and then you can add some tools into it. It has windows in the side, so that you could put a cellophane in there if you wanted to, so you could see what's inside the box. So this is our garden toolbox. So let's move over to Cricut Design Space and let's start making. Well, here we are in Cricut Design Space, and we're going to be making a garden toolbox. This is a small toolbox that's made out of paper, and you're going to have a lot of fun with it. So let's start by just turning off my text here. I just go and click on the eye to do that. I'm going to turn on my grid. That's in the corner over here, so I can turn on my grid. I'm going to go to Uploads. I have already uploaded my SVG, and it's called Garden Toolbox, and you can find this in my resource library. So if you're not a member, it's a free membership. You can get to the resource library and get all of my templates that I do for these videos. So let's just click on it, and we're going to click on Insert the Image, and it looks like it's had a lot of problem grouping itself, and it seems to be out of place. Let's see what we can do with this. It looks for some reason like that particular file didn't upload properly, so I'm going back to Upload. Going to pick on it one more time, and hopefully we'll get a good image, and there we are. We have a perfect size toolbox. Now it is pretty small, and I am going to make it bigger. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to align this to 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. That will give me exactly what I need. So I'm going to come up here, position 0.25. I'm going to hit my tab and 0.25, and that's going to position this perfectly. So now I know that I have 1/4 inch. Now, because we can go 12 inches, but only 11.5, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to then just widen this, and we know we can have 11.5 because I want to have it as big as possible. And it looks like our depth is at approximately 11.5. That looks pretty good. So that is big as I'm going to be able to get it. If you have bigger paper, perhaps that you can add some more to it. Now, it's going to come up with a basic cut, just the way you see it, and the score lines are already defined. So we absolutely don't really need to do anything except using Control A or come up to Select All, where it's up here, it says Select, Deselect. If you click here, it'll deselect, or click on the button again, select all. We have everything selected. We want to keep it in place. All we need to do here is click on Attach. And that is it. That's all we need to do here. Now, I'm using my Maker 3 today, but I haven't saved my project yet. So let's click on Save, and this is a garden toolbox. And I have made it part of my July collection. So let's click on Save. And it looks like we are ready to go. I'm going to move over to my Cricut here. I'm going to lift the lid, and I am going to turn it on. And it's going to tell me exactly what I'm going to need to use when we click on Make It. So let's click over here on Make It. And it comes out on the one sheet, and that's exactly the way I want it. I'm going to click on Continue. Now we're going to need two tools for this. We're going to need a scoring wheel if you're using a Maker, or a scoring stylus if you are using an Explorer or an Air 2. It's asking us the type of paper here. Shows us the most popular or our favorites. The most popular here is, I'm just going for a medium cardstock, and as you can see, it starts off by asking me to load the single scoring wheel. Now if you're working off your Explorer or your error, you will absolutely be asked for a stylus. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come over here, and for those of you that are just new to your machine and you need a scoring stylus, I have one here, and this is what the scoring stylus is going to look like. And with your Explorer or Air 3 or Air 2, it will go down into our A slot, just like a pen, if you're using the scoring stylus. I am going to be using my wheel, and I have this wonderful little gadget that I bought from Cricut in order to hold all of my tools. And I can just open it up this way, and it says the scoring tool is a 01. If you look really closely, you'll find a 01 on the tool that you're going to use. So you can never go wrong with it because every tool has a number on it. And let's see, I've got to take the bottom off here just to show you. I'm going to pull out another tool that I have here, and you'll see that this is a wavy tool, and this says 3-1 on it. So every one is labeled differently, and it is done so that you're not going to get your tools all mixed up. I'll move this to the side, so it wants to have it in on this side. This is my fine point blade, and I'm just going to put it into the slot over here and put my scoring wheel in here. Just have to sit it in properly and shut that. I'm just going to shut the other one as well. So the other thing I have is I have to put what I want to cut my garden toolbox out of. So I'm going to use a standard grip mat, and that's this green one. I'll just move this out of the way so that we can see this. And I'll just take off my protective cover. And it doesn't have any debris on it. I haven't had to clean it. And for paper, I've actually picked this green one up, and I picked this up at Michael's. It's called Craft Smart. So you can check the Michael's website to see if they have these. I love them because they're solid colors on both sides, even though they're not a solid core. So I have to pick a color I'm going to use for my garden toolbox. I'm just going to pick this green color. And I'll move this off to the side. And I'm just going to place it straight on one edge, and then it'll automatically go straight on the other. So I try to get them as straight as possible so I'm not wasting paper, and just holding the corner and then holding the center, making sure it goes down. It's not too bad. So the one other thing that I do is I take my brayer tool, and you can buy these from Cricut as well. I bought this at Michael's, and it's called a Speedball. And if you have something else, you can actually use a rolling pin for this as well. So you don't have to go out and buy special tools. And the reason I push it down is because sometimes when you're putting the cardstock down, you don't get it down hard enough, and then it starts to pull, and it makes bad cuts because it isn't stuck in the center. And if your mat's not sticking properly, it'll definitely show up that way. Okay, so put my brayer tool on the side. I'm going to bring this back closer to me so that I have room behind the machine for the mat to go through. And I already have my scoring wheel in place. I'm just going to push this into place, making sure everything's down. You can always use tape to hold it down as well. So let's just put this into place, and it's going to check and make sure that we have everything that we need to have. And it's going to ask me to press the go button. Press go. On my other maker, it's just a round button that I push. It's the same premise. The buttons really haven't changed that much. Now what it's going to do is it's going to take the scoring wheel and it's going to make the depression. And this particular make the lines are sideways, so it does take a little bit to make the impressions in place. Okay, now it's asking me for a tool change. So take out my scoring wheel, and I'm going to put back in my fine tip blade and just push it and click again, and it should cut out the rest of it without an issue. And we'll unload our mat. Just place this underneath, and up on our screen it's going to tell us to hit finish. And there we go. It goes back to the screen. Okay, I'm just going to turn my machine off now. I'm going to shut the lid. I'll just gently slide it out of the way here. I'm going to now take this off the mat, and my little trick, let me just move my toolbox out of the way. Move our wires out of the way here. What I'm going to do is turn this so that I am coming off the mat by rolling it. And this is looking really good. Just releasing. Come back off the other side as well. I find it much easier to roll things off the mat. And that looks pretty good so that it remains straight. We already got that piece, so let's let it go. Now I have a lot of debris on here which I will clean up. And generally, if you want to clean it up, all you need to do is use your scraper tool, and it should come right off. Not an issue. I want you to get in the habit of doing this right away, because if you leave it too long, sometimes it'll stick there more permanently and it's much more difficult to get rid of. Now that looks pretty clean. Next step is to make sure that you put your protector right back on top, and then I will move that out of the way. And I will take my debris here and put it into the garbage can. Perfect. Now you may wonder what this pink pad is. Well, it's just a silicone pad that I'm going to use for doing the gluing part. Now let's just take all of this apart. I have a frame here. There we go. It's a nice scrap paper there. Now with the toolbox, there were two pieces that came out. First one here, another one here. Actually, there's three, and there's also a slot. So what we have to do is now just take a look at where our score lines are as we go to put this together. Now obviously this is the handle, so we are going to give that a little extra little firm bend. And we have a side flap here. I'm going to bend that in. We have another one at the bottom. Bend, and we have another one right here. Sometimes it's just, yeah, there we go. Just want to make sure you get all of your score lines folded up into place, because once you've got things glued together, it's impossible to do it. So here we go. So now all we need to do is to put the whole thing together. Now I guess you can probably guess that this is going to go across the top like this as part of it, and then we're going to glue the rest of it together. So let's get out some glue. So this is how, one half of it's going together. Now you're going to need to cut a second one in order to put the whole box together. So make sure that you cut a second one, and then we're going to start gluing. So let's just make sure we have all of our flaps in place. Give them a good term here is burnish. Just means gives it a good fold. And that's just so you have nice crisp corners. There we go. So now we have two halves. Oh, I missed one right here. So now it's a matter of putting these together so that everything folds down and matches. So as you can tell, we still need to fold our little handle in place. We'll have to do the same on the other piece as well, because when we put the two handles together, they're going to form the top of the box, and of course when you go to close the box, it's going to come over top like this. So you'll have pieces that come in over top. Now I haven't glued anything together yet because I just want to make sure everything fits. And the two bottom flaps will go in like that. And then we'll be able to close it like this. Now there's a little air hole in the bottom. Don't worry about that part of it because that's exactly what you want to have. All right, let's start by putting some of the pieces together. Now I'm just going to line these up because we're going to glue this flap to here. And it doesn't really matter what order you're going to glue things in. For me, I'm using a tacky glue, and you can get this one almost everywhere. It's called the original tacky glue. It's an Aleene's glue. And I'm just going to apply the glue to here. I should actually have it on my little mat. Oh, my glue doesn't seem to want to come right out. Must be sealed up a little bit. Let me just get one of my tools out here. Just take one of my weeding tools and just open it up a bit. Any kind of glue, it will seal itself shut, so I'm just going to pull out the piece off the top that's all into one place. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. 100%. And I like to get it close to the edges as possible. Just lie this down on the side. Now, the important part here is matching it up so you get the perfect fold. You don't want it to be off center, because if you do, then the box won't fold properly. So it's just this first one that has to be perfectly matched. It's pretty good right there. Make sure everything folds up here. There we go. That one looks pretty good. This is off to an angle, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so we have our first part glued down. Now you're going to say, well, how am I going to put this together? We have all of these flaps at the bottom, and you need to glue the side pieces in. Well, the first side piece is the more important. This will be last for the second one. So as you know, we want to have the flaps on the inside. So the first thing we want to do is then take the next flap, put it together across the edge so that it sits into place. So we're just going to have it sit into place that way. So I'm going to glue the bottom of this Now you could have it fold in together on the other side, but I prefer to have a small hole in the bottom just to have things drain out. Okay, I'm just going to stand this up and have it glue into place this way, and then I put a lot of glue on it, so I've got some extra glue showing here, but not to worry about it. Make sure that it's nice and flush right there, because this other piece is going to glue over top. Now, we've got a couple of the pieces put together now, and it's starting to take shape. So what I want to do now is then glue these two pieces together, and that looks pretty good. So I'm going to glue this next flap down. And you can make these out of any material you want. It doesn't have to be paper, but paper just seems to work best for me when I'm first doing these. You could use a balsa wood if you wanted to. I just want to get these in the right way here. That looks pretty good. Get it as straight as possible, because we are going to glue them up this way so that this is going to come over the top. See the fold here and the next one here, so it kind of comes together just like that. Now, almost there with the gluing. I'm going to put a little bit of glue underneath here. I want things to come apart. Add a little extra glue. There we go. And then just hold it into place. And then we're going to add a little extra glue out under the bottom flap here as well. And that's just to hold things in place. So we do have some in here already. So I will add some more. It's looking pretty good. I'll use my little silicone pad here and just push it down. I'll hold these back out. Okay, the last piece we're going to glue is this side piece into here. So what I'm going to do is just hold it up this way. My glue, it does dry clear, so don't worry if you've got a little extra. And I'm going to hold it into place. Thank goodness I can get my hands in through the little windows. There we go. Hold that into place for a second while the glue dries. Push it down at the bottom. I don't want it coming right apart. All right, so now we're going to allow this to dry a little bit. And as you can see, the handles will fold down and they will come through one at a time like this for a handy little toolbox. Remember, when you're cutting it, you want to cut two pieces, and then you can put your little tools or whatever you want inside here. So you could add a couple of the tools you're using, and you could carry it around exactly the way you want it. This is a cute little garden toolbox. So you could put some seeds that you're going to plant. You can open it up. And you can also decorate your box any way you want with some wonderful embellishments. You can see this is not quite glued to the side yet. There we go. Just want to make sure it's square. So I hope you enjoyed making this one. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice, simple project. Just remember to cut the two sides. You can use two different colors. You can use the same color. And then you have to glue the whole thing together. And this is what we end up with. So until next time, happy crafting.